Greetings, greenhouse people. I'm your host, Bill Calkins, and for this episode of the Tech on Demand podcast brought to you by GrowerTalks, I'm bringing you GrowerTalks. Well, actually, two of the GrowerTalks team who joined me at California Spring Trials this year are joining me to chat about the 2025 California Spring Trials. It is my pleasure to welcome Editor-in-Chief Chris Beytes and Editor Jennifer Zurko. We represent 75% of the Ball Publishing team who traveled west for this year's event. Our fourth was Osvaldo Cuevas, who shot all the video. We love you, Osvaldo, and we were happy to have you, but we aren't going to make you do this podcast with us. The goal
would be entertaining.
It would be entertaining.
It would, and he might come up with more good ideas than we do, but hopefully not. And the goal of this episode is to share our thoughts on the event, the people, the trends, the plants, and the overall impact Spring Trials has on the professional horticulture industry. I know I can speak for Chris and Jen that when we return from Spring Trials each year, folks always ask us for our overall thoughts, the hot new varieties we expect to be big sellers, and what we consider to be industry breakthroughs. Because of that, it was my bright idea to record a podcast answering some of these questions, and I'm thrilled that my partners in crime agreed to it. Before we begin, here are a few things you should not expect in this conversation. First, do not expect a stop-by-stop rundown of the trials. For that, we have 26 individual videos conveniently organized into one YouTube playlist where Chris, Jen, and I are on camera presenting from every company that exhibited. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Next, we will not talk about all of the new introductions. There were hundreds, and we tried to cover just about all the key varieties in our daily newsletter, also linked in the show notes. Finally, do not expect hardcore production information or crop culture expertise. We are not growers. We aren't distribution sales reps. We definitely aren't breeders or product managers. We're just three journalists and experienced industry members with unique perspectives. But that's enough out of me. Chris and Jen, I just called us experienced. So why don't you tell the listeners your role within Ball Publishing and how many years you've attended Spring Trials, and maybe one quick story that illustrates why you look forward to the trip to California each year.
I'm going to say ladies first, but first I'm going to say, is anybody still listening when you told them everything this is not going to have?
Well,
it's a caveat. It's caveat.
You don't know what's going to happen, right? You got to wait.
And second, when you said we represent 75 years, I thought that was going to be an experience.
No, 75% of our team.
66 years of experience covering the trials.
No, 60. Well, if you include Osvaldo, it's 69 years. But yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, ladies first, to answer Bill's question.
Which is talk about your role, your experience, and something you look forward to each year with Spring Trials.
My role currently at Ball Publishing is editor of the magazine and all the creative design and video too. I've been with Ball Publishing for 16 years. I think it's been 16 years. Oh. So this has been my, I think, 15th cast. And I look forward to cast. I don't know. It's kind of hard. Like, I look forward to it, but I don't at the same time because it is a lot of hard work. We do take it very seriously. We, go to every stop. We spend time there, go through all of the new introductions, talk to people because, there's a lot of people we only see once or twice a year and there's a lot of stopping and starting, but at the same time, it's really fun. And I think it's because of my coworkers. I think we really have gelled really well together the last couple of years since the four of us have been together. I don't know. We laugh a lot. And I think we all have the same kind of sense of humor.
That's
so
true.
that helps. And we all have our strengths too. And different music choices, of course, too. Some shared, some not. But anyway,
it makes those long rides between stops in the rental car interesting when we decide what to put on Pandora.
That's
Sometimes
right.
it's, okay, a half hour of my music, which
Yep.
never has any lyrics, which drives Jen crazy.
A little bit.
And then Jen and Bill, of course, grew up in the same era after me, so they're listening to stuff from the 90s that I'm gaining a familiarity.
Oh, you will be listening to Hip Hop Barbecue at your house.
That's true.
Next to your pool.
Hip Hop Barbecue. Yes.
And I feel like Osvaldo just kind of puts up with it because he knows a lot of music, but he listens to a lot of smart music and
Yeah.
foreign music.
Global eclectic tastes. But he's opened my eyes to a lot of different kinds of music. So
anyway, well, back to the question at hand.
Which,
so this thing doesn't run as long as Pack Trials did. Pack Trials, I still call it. Let's see. I've been with Ball Publishing 31 years. I'm now editor-in-chief, which kind of means I run the whole show. My head rolls if things go bad. Otherwise, Jen and Paul and Bill and the whole crew down there keep things running up there because I'm in Orlando, so I don't have to. And I'm the industry storyteller. Cast is one of the fun stories. I've done it for 30 years now. And I think that's what I like. I like going to hopefully find some really good stories to tell. You know, they're few and far between, maybe compared to the old days, but you can always sniff them out. You know, a unique variety, a nice display, or talking to the people and getting the stories from them. And it is 5 hard days for us anyway, 5 hard days and nights, 18-hour days. Bill and I share a room. We're never out of each other's sight unless he's down at the gym at 5:30 in the morning, getting in his hour and a half, during which he checks email and watches all of our videos.
Yep.
But it's kind of an adrenaline rush. We couldn't do it any longer than that. But the 5 days is great fun. And then coming back and sorting through, okay, is there anything out there that's going to change the world of horticulture, which we all have kind of grown up in now and love and have made our life? And I guess that's what we're here to figure out. Right, Bill?
I've been at Ball 20 years. I've done spring trials in some form 18 times.
So you've done it differently than us, though, because your first time was as an editor, a young associate editor, I guess, maybe, with me. Right. Then you switched hats.
Yeah. 8 years at the Santa Paula facility where Ball exhibits, hosting customers, doing retail stuff, doing Ball seed stuff.
Set up and tear down.
Set up and tear down. There were times when I was out there for 16 days, but it gave a good insight into behind the scenes and what it takes to put the event on. I'm going to share a little bit of that, I think, as we talk today. But yeah, I like to go out because of the people and the products, the reason why the products are brought to market. There's a lot that goes on before these beautiful flowers hit the benches, and I like to hear those stories told. So yeah, I mean, I think that kind of underscores our experience. But now that that's out of the way, let's talk big picture. My question, and it's a little bit of a different one. If the 2025 California Spring Trials were a person, how would you describe their vibe? So what's the vibe of the 2025 Spring Trials? Jen, I really kind of can't wait to hear your answer on this one. So why don't you go for it and then hand it off to Chris?
I laughed when I saw this question, and this is what my answer is. It's like someone who's been hosting an annual party and is pleasantly surprised that people still come.
I like that.
You know what I mean? That's kind of the vibe I get, but people who skip it, and find out about the cool stuff that happened, then they're sad that they missed it. So that's kind of what I thought of.
Okay, that's I can go along with that. And the guy hosting the party is in a Hawaiian shirt and khakis, smiling and enjoying a fruity drink with an umbrella in it, because it's a warm, sunny, feel-good time, flowers everywhere. You don't hear a cross word from anyone. Everyone's in a good mood. Yes, we hit a little bit of rain this year, which is pretty unusual, and a little bit of chill. So the Hawaiian shirt guy had a jacket on, but that's how I picture the personality of Cast. Does that make sense?
Those are good, and my answer is just mature, but not boring.
So the guy's he's got gray hair.
Yeah, and more calculated. I think everything has a reason. In the past, I think there have been some years where it was very marketing with a flourish, but now it really is everything has a position. I think we see new varieties of classics, fresh takes. Companies understand their role within the market, and they just in their areas of expertise, and that's really put on display. Katie Rotella at Ball always calls it the fashion week of plants. And I think that really is true. It's where you see the new, but you get to reconnect, see folks you haven't seen in a while. I like the Hawaiian shirt vibe and hosting a party. That's
Robert good. From Plant Haven.
Oh, you like Robert.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more like
he's the vibe. He's the guy. It's
true.
Well, I think when you
with a bit of April Herring thrown in.
Oh, okay. Well, you were thinking of industry people. I was thinking of like Jimmy Buffett. Like old, but still fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You want to go hang out every year.
Yeah.
True.
R.I.P. Jimmy Buffett. But I do agree with Bill too, because I think like in years past, a lot of the displays had everything.
Mm-hmm.
They threw everything out there. And then some years it was really marketing focused. And now I think it's more of a better balance of both.
I think a lot of the breeding companies have worked toward that for all sorts of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now let's go to the number one question we all get, because we can't do a spring trials debrief without talking about the varieties. Gotten this question a lot. Got this question yesterday and was rattling off some of my picks, but we've had a week to think about it, or a couple of weeks to think about it and chat with folks either within the company or just around the industry. Why don't we each call out a few introductions that stand out in our minds and just a quick reason why. Yeah, and I'm going to go first because I guess that's just the benefit of being the host. But you guys, if you agree with any of my picks or disagree, but mostly agree, you can go ahead and expound on why they made your list as well, because I like them probably for different reasons than you do. I'll start with Syngenta's Sunfinity yellow-red bicolor. Now that growers have had success with the original Sunfinity, they've learned how to grow it. It's definitely sold well at retail, and this one looks a lot different. Coloration is way different, and I think it'll be really good for fall sales as well as spring.
A better name on that one, though.
Well, but it describes what it is.
It's extremely descriptive.
That's true. But for consumers, it's just Sunfinity, I think, is... And that's a pretty good name. 3 orange petunias and calibrachoas that I saw. 2 from Ball Floor Plant. They had Cabaret Bright Orange and Cha Cha Diva Orange. And Westhoff had one called The Orange, which is a pretty bold name for a plant. The Orange, kind of like the best. But orange petunias always look interesting to me. I think you just don't see that color very often in petunias. And then the third one I'll call out is Euphorbia Sahara Tiny Treasure, which was from Plant Haven. And that was weird. And it was a really bright chartreuse color, a drought-tolerant plant. I thought it was really an interesting variety. Lastly, I'm going to go with Leucanthemum Sweet Daisy Kylie from Dooman. Just a huge, huge blooms on a daisy, covered with flowers, big plant, first year flowering, which is nice. I thought it was a really, really neat plant, and it keeps standing out. Whenever I flip through my photos, that's one I always stop on. And then lastly, a wild card was the Rudbeckia from Benari, that table mate. And it's only a wild card because it's a gift plant. But when Matthias was showing it to us, he said, "Oh, well, you can put it on a card at Costco as a grab and go." And I thought I would definitely grab that plant and take it to that dinner party that Jen was talking about, that we're happy people are coming to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that it was just a compact Rudbeckia, had tons of flowers. I just thought it was a cool grab and go.
Grab that in a table tensia hydrangea.
There you go. Jen, why don't you go next?
Well, I do agree with you with the Rudbeckia from Benari. I did like that, but it wasn't in my top. But okay. I did like that one. Maybe it's just my shallow nature, going along with the Fashion Week thing. But I always look at the outside first, I guess. Mm-hmm. So color, and appearance is important to me. Dahlias are my top 5 plants. The new dahlias from Beacon Camp, the new La Bella Grande chocolates. Those I really liked a lot.
They match your hair.
And then it does match my hair. And the summer bees from Dooman. With multicolored blooms. Those were really cool. I really liked those 2 a lot. The other one that I really liked was the Black Widow petunia from Syngenta. I know on our video, Chris said it's like a love it or hate it kind of variety, but I loved it. And I think because it's different. And I know that other breeders have tried black petunias in the past, quite a handful of them, but this is the blackest one. And I've been around, I've been in the industry for almost 22 years now. This is the blackest petunia I've ever seen.
And you said that the second you saw it. Yeah. Like, I remember that. You called that out, like, immediately.
Yeah, we were looking for shades of purple in there, but if there were any, you kind of didn't see it.
That's right. That's right.
Probably a tech tip for how to blacken them.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say, Chris, I wonder if there's a trick you're supposed to use to make sure that you don't have any purple in those.
It's got to be temperature.
Yeah, we'll find out and we'll publish it and Bill can put it in his newsletter too. The other ones that I really, really liked were the Besties Osteo, Danziger. For the one variety that's in the series Dynamic Bicolor, I put the word love and with an exclamation and underlined, because I mean it was just so cool. Those were like the varieties that really stood out to me. I have some other observations too, but I'll let Chris go and talk about varieties.
I think that one was false advertising, though, the Dynamic Bicolor. What? I think there were 3 or 4 colors in those flowers.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm. You can see it on our Danziger video.
That's what you got to do. So if we mention anything, it's all out there. It's all out there. If you go to our newsletter, you'll possibly find photos of it, especially if it's worth us talking about. But let me dive in. Some of yours were on my lists, different lists. I like Candy Cloud Phlox from Darwin, a perennial. It's a Phlox subulata, but they tout it as being about a month later than your regular subulatas, and they use the term bridging the gap between when subulatas come into bloom in the garden center, which is way, way early. So this is like an April 15 to May 15, roughly speaking, kind of a bloomer. And I think there were 4 different colors of that. Crazy Tunias. All of them are amazing. They always impress me how Westhoff keeps coming up with some of the best, most interesting, most unusual, coolest colors out there. I like those. They also had a Muffin Verbena series. We see a lot of Verbena. They all kind of look sort of alike. This one is aptly named. Lots and lots of flowers right on the top. Now, is it going to work like in a basket, trailing? No, it's not that kind of a verbena. I've sort of got a soft spot for Green Fuse's fuchsias and their streptocarpus. They're old crops. Nobody else in the whole trials has a fuchsia or streptocarpus. The only place you see them. Cora Red Vinca is going to be an easy sell, I think. Graffiti Falls Pentas from Bonari. I should mention Cora Red Vinca from Syngenta. Yeah, this was the most unusual pentas I've ever seen with a hook, like it was trying to grow to the center of the earth. Is what I determined. How they're making a pentas that trails. It's being sucked downward by gravitational pull. That's the only explanation.
It was different looking. I mean, just the habit, the way it was kind of twisty, and then you're right.
And I said it looks like when a plant pot falls over. And then the branches try to arch upwards, geotrophically or towards the sun. And this is doing it downward, just automatically. It was the strangest thing.
It reminds me of like a house plant, like a Tradescantia or something like that,
Yeah, and it looked wilted, but it wasn't. I mean, you have to worry you don't overwater it. A couple of those, I like the Summer Bees dahlias as well. Massive, big flowers. We had fun with the video on that. So those are some of my the ones I remember after a week or two when people ask, what do you remember? If you can remember it after seeing hundreds and hundreds of new things, it must be a good variety.
Well, and I tend to answer that question. I usually start by talking about the actual displays or the trial itself, because I remember that quite a bit. And then the individual varieties kind of percolate up as the days go on. That was kind of a variety whirlwind. We'll talk more varieties, I'm sure. Let's try to go in a little bit of a different direction for the next question. And this gets to the reason why pack trials exists, I think, and why folks continue to go year after year. I was having a discussion with someone and I said, how many years have you been coming? He's like, 25. I said, and you still get excited? He said, oh yeah, I love, I can't imagine not coming. So do you go to spring trials looking for something specific, or do you just go to see what's new and report back via the magazine or videos or social media? Why is this an important thing to go to every year? And Chris, you have the most experience. What do you say to that?
I've kind of learned you can't plan. You know where you're going to go. And after 31 years, I have, and things have not changed very much in the last 10 years, really. The same players, same greenhouse. Not many surprises. So I tend to know what to expect, but I don't prepare for it. I go out there. I don't even read any early previews of what's being introduced or whatever. If I stumble across it somewhere, fine. But I just want to go in there completely open-minded to see what's happening. What are you guys doing? What's new? And let it come at me. Always keeping in mind, though, the last thing you want to do is get back to your desk and have to write a big story or send out an email and not have a good photo of something or a nice overview shot, those kinds of things. So there is work we have to do to be able to produce the magazine. But otherwise, I just go in there open-minded and ready to soak it all in.
I like that. Jen, how about you?
It's the same. I go in with a clean slate, no expectations. I don't want anything to, like Chris said, to sway me or allow for any sort of bias. I think back in the way days, we did spring trials or pack trials, sneak preview or whatever, but we don't do that anymore. I mean, a lot of times too, the breeders really want you to come and see it or learn about it, during coverage of the event. When you see me impressed on videos and I say I really like something, I mean it, because that's the first thing the first time I've seen it or learned about it. So,
and the challenge is when you walk into a greenhouse, we don't have a lot of time there. You got to go in and look and figure out, all right, what are they trying to do? What's their messaging? What's the story? Do they even have a story? Some trials don't. Right. It's just new varieties, no rhyme or reason. You just go from, walk around and look at them. Others, there's a theme and they're really trying to set things up. And some do a good job explaining it. Others, you kind of don't catch on to the theme till it's too late. It's, why didn't they tell us that? So that's part of the fun, is figuring out what are these people up to? Bill's nodding. He gets it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, I think that probably gets to the reason why I go. And as I mentioned before, I've seen it from the other side.
You used to create those
the other
things.
angle. Right. And so it's really the messaging around the new plants that gets me excited. Most plants aren't introduced just because, like, it's not just, we're just going to put this out in the market and see how it does. They fit into a series or fit into a product mix. And those kind of stories are what gets me excited. I think it, like I said, it highlights the work that goes on behind the scenes with the breeding and product selection. I even enjoy hearing about supply chain improvements and the trial findings, because these products aren't this isn't the first time that these products have been grown and shown to people. Most of them have been through pretty intense research trials to make sure that they're actually going to perform for growers, for retailers, for consumers. So I think that's my favorite part, is just seeing it all come together. And then when it does get people excited, that's where I think it's fun for everybody.
Well, they spend so much money on breeding. I would think you wouldn't just throw stuff out there.
And it's a balance between, do you show new varieties? Do you show any of your old varieties? Heaven forbid, do you show a competitor's varieties, which I don't think we saw a single actual comparison this year, which is really how they all started 50 years ago, right? Comparing varieties. That's why they were called a trial. Now it's a show. It's a fashion show. So I can understand how hard it is to decide, where do we spend our money? And people only have an hour. How do we communicate with them? So as Bill says, getting that message and seeing how effectively they communicate that message is always interesting. And we try to share that message. Our job is to represent you who can't be there. So what would you have seen and heard? And we try to give that back to you, as opposed to just putting our own journalistic or jaded view on it. We do a little bit of that, but that's why we try to stay as open-minded as possible.
And we try to ask the questions that a grower would ask, because we could easily print the description out of the new variety catalog. Like that would be really easy.
Right.
But that probably doesn't answer the why that most of our listeners are going to have when they see a new variety, or the questions that they're going to ask their sales rep when they get the new variety book. Help me understand why I should add this. All right, here's a question for you. If you could have one new introduction shipped to your house for free, what would it be? And I'm going to kick this off, but I will say, hopefully the breeding companies are listening to this, because, we all have addresses and homes and plenty of space to plant new varieties. And I will say, send me Benari's Whopper Salmon Bronze Leaf. I know for a fact that I won't kill it. I know it'll survive. I know it'll get huge. The foliage color was dark and awesome. I'm a huge fan of supersized begonias. I love dragon wings. I love the bigs. I love even the hulas and baskets. But I loved this Whopper Bronze Leaf.
You were killed by Stonehenge begonias a couple years ago.
I was, but I want this Whopper, and I got two chances to get it, because maybe Benari's listening or maybe Ball Seed's listening. Who knows?
So no mega cools for you, no small ones, huh?
No. I mean, I don't mind planting small, regular begonias, but give me the big ones that make me look pretty like I know what I'm doing in the garden.
I'll go next. I want a Super Cal Petunia from Cicada, namely their new one, the Premium Coral Star, which is a beautiful kind of a coral purple, another one of those rich, tropical sunset kind of things. The reason is because I've never grown a Petcoa, a Petunia Calibracoa cross. Never had the opportunity to. And I want to see what all the hype's about. See if they're really tougher and easier than either of those plants.
I want the Whopper. Chris wants Super Cal. Jen, what are you asking for?
Wow, the Black Widow Petunia from I can't get over how good it looks in combos. They had a couple different combos around the table where they were just showing them individually in their own pots. But this Black Petunia would look good in a combo with any color. Why?
You're not just thinking Halloween, huh?
No.
Spring, Mother's Day?
No.
Easter?
I mean, this is you could tell you've never bought a little black dress or black shoes to go with. So this is like iconic black, and it would go with yellow, pink, white, any color flower in a combination. And I do know that my neighbors would be like, "Oh, what is that?" You know, so I want people to be jealous of me. It would also offer that as well. So
the little black petunia, LBD, little black dress. We're always renaming varieties for people. Here's
but Black Widow, I really like.
It's a good name too,
and memorable, because if you can remember a name, that's why I like the Benari Graffiti Falls. It's the cascading thing. It sticks with me.
All right, let's talk some more varieties, but from a different angle. What are some new introductions that you guys think are Instagram ready, meaning photogenic, grabbing attention from the folks who are on Instagram? Right, what's going to get the clicks?
All right, let's give one each and then kind of rotate around. Here, what we're say. I'll start with those Dahlia Summer Bees, the red bicolor, the purple bicolor, Dahlias from Duman. Big, massive, beautiful, bright bicolors. Only two of them too, so it's you won't get overwhelmed.
And it is the bloom shots that get the clicks. I agree. Those are gonna get likes.
Yeah, that was on my list too. Just because like I love Black Widow, but I don't know if it would really show up. Like, is it really photogenic? And same with reds too. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of like the bicolored, multicolored flowers seem to be like they'd be more Instagram ready. So I agree with Chris about
Rowan Selecta's Venti Fireburst.
Oh, yeah.
There's another Dahlia, not quite as big, but just as bright, bicolored, vivid.
To go along with, I liked Rainbow Dragonberry Calibracoa from Duman.
Yeah.
Bill, I think you liked that one.
I loved that one.
Yeah.
That was on my list too.
That would be.
Was that like green and purple?
No, that was at Danziger. That was the other one at Danziger. I can't remember what the name of that one is. Maybe you guys remember. But no, this was where the confetti garden baskets were. And Bill, I think you did put it on social media, didn't you?
I did. I'm going to go Selecta, Main Stage, Petunia, Merlot, Glacier, Sky. I like sky types. Sky types always get clicks. And this one was that deep purpley Merlot color with the flecks of white in it. Just it was neat. It was definitely neat. I don't know that I've seen a purpley color with that sky pattern.
They had three different sky pattern petunias they introduced, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That was on my list too, Bill. A main and the headliner ones too.
I'll go back to Crazy Tunias. The orange. Is that a Crazy Tunia?
That's a Hell's. But isn't Hell's a crazy?
You can't say that anymore. They changed the name.
Hell's anymore. It's
Inferno.
Inferno.
But they had one called Yellow, Yello, which was rich yellow, blackberry syrup.
I was just about to say in Crazy Tunia, blackberry syrup.
Banana Rama. I mean, great names those are Instagram names too, I think. So I'd go with those.
I have one that I don't know if would be good on Instagram, like photogenic. What about the Dragon Cyclamen from Schoneveld? It's like, I know it's like horticulture blue, but the purple or blue or whatever was so nice, and the plant looks so good.
Well,
and cyclamen flowers are interesting looking.
The plants are always really pretty. The first blue cyclamen.
Yeah.
Even if it's mauve.
We've talked a lot about dahlias, but I'll just call out Plant Haven's Mystic Wizard. I don't even remember the color name, but it's kind of a magenta color. Yeah. But just a huge bloom. It just looked like a perfect flower. And also we've talked about them already, but the Beacon Camp Grande chocolate, the apricot color was really, really nice. When I was scrolling through photos really quick, seeing what jumped out at me, making my list for this, and that one definitely jumped out.
Well, I did the same thing, and that's how I found Hannibee digitalis from Taki, displayed in a big pyramid. Must have been 8 feet high in the greenhouse of the white, pink, and rose varieties.
And I put the Sunfinity on there, the new one, the yellow, red bicolor, just because it's a sunflower. And I think people like sunflowers. And that would be very Instagram friendly.
I got a couple that we've already talked about earlier in this episode, but the dynamic bicolor in the Osteobestes, Coral Star, the new Supercal from Cicada, and then I'm gonna go with Kienzler's Calibrachoa Sangria Fizz. It was like orangey apricot with yellow, but just it was as bright as they get.
I like anything named for an alcoholic beverage.
Yep. The name was good. It was good.
I'll throw in one last one. Sweet Duet Double Snaps from Syngenta. That didn't get a lot of attention. They were kind of around the corner. Big double blooms. You almost would think, is that a snapdragon? Really? I've never seen a bigger flower on a snap. Those are cool.
Yeah. All right, Jen, one more.
No, I don't actually. I think we covered them all. You guys.
That's it. That's all the Instagram flowers you're going to have. So.
I'm going to throw one more just because it's a perennial and I thought it was interesting is Dooman, the Achillea Seabreeze Red from Dooman. It's like a Queen Anne's lace. It was red with yellow in the center. Again, when I was scrolling photos, that one jumped out. I was like, what is that? And then when I zoomed in on it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's an Achillea. We haven't talked about this variety yet, but we did see Firefly Petunia live and in person in a
that was unexpected
room. That was unexpected. It's not, I don't think we could consider it a new for 26 variety, but definitely new. Definitely unique, and it does represent what Spring Trials is all about. You'll have to watch our video to see how dark the room was and to hear our description. But I was thinking about that as new technology that could be promoted outside of just gardening folks would find that really interesting. And then it got me thinking, like, well, what other variety would have those attributes? And then I thought, oh, well, it could be a Shark Tank product. So that's my question. What new variety, other than Firefly, should be launched on Shark Tank? And you can take this however you want. Chris, I'm going to start with you, mostly because I think you'd actually be a really good Shark Tank presenter.
I'd rather be one of the billionaires with the money. But
pick a product or two.
There aren't any.
Ooh, hot
There
take.
aren't any.
I agree.
There aren't any. Not good enough to intrigue the sharks. And if we're going to be literal about it.
That's right.
Although today I just got an email from a couple of young PhDs who have developed glow-in-the-dark aquatic plants.
Ooh.
And they're wondering about going into business. It's forwarded by a well-respected industry colleague that I know. And I tell them I don't know anything about the aquarium plant industry. Seems a little nichey to me. Then I asked them, do they work on dry land?
No, I agree with you. I don't think there's anything that's like that would pierce the mainstream like a glow-in-the-dark petunia has.
Well, I had one.
Oh.
And all I came up with, and I tend to agree with you guys, but I was thinking of Hishtil had their double marvel collection of herbs. So ornamental and edible. I know that's not a new concept, but I think it's something that has a unique sales pitch kind of approach to it and it'd be easily shippable so you could sell them online. I don't know. I thought you could probably build a product line around edible ornamental herbs.
That is the sort of thing that you, with the right packaging and marketing, you could put in every grocery store in America. Good try. Good try. We'll give you credit for that.
It was a shot. It was a shot in the dark, like Shark Tank. We mentioned it earlier that Spring Trials has become more of a product show and less of a marketing show than it was 10 years ago, which it kind of evolved into. It's not like it started that way. It started as a comparison trials, but it did move heavily into marketing with big vignette displays for everything. And we still see a little bit of that, but it tends to be more focused on what the companies consider huge new intros. So you might see like 3 or 4 big vignette displays instead of 20. Can you think of any varieties that we saw that got major promotion, clearly big ticket items at each of these stops, that you think will live up to the hype? And there's probably not just one, so feel free to share as many as you want, but think about where the emphasis was and what you think will rise to the top and be remembered 10 years from now. What do you guys think? I'll share like 3.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with Sunfinity because I've been riding that train since the beginning of this podcast. I do think, it was a front lead display at Syngenta, and I do think that one's going to have lasting power. Another one I thought has a lot of potential, and I can see it, not going away or not fading, are the Top Wave pansies from Pan Am. And mostly because they've got the Wave branding on them. So it's going to get that push, and that it's already has a lot of retail credibility in the Wave name, but also because a hanging basket product for fall just seems like it has legs to me. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to take the easy way out on this one. Sun Patience, the new Royal Magenta, and the Compact Pink Flash. Like, Sun Patience has huge notoriety, and I can see these continuing to push that series. It's at the top, and it's going to stay there. Or Jen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of tagging, piggybacking on your Wave. I just think Wave in general, I mean, they dedicated like a whole wall to it. They're spending a lot of resources on a huge marketing campaign this year for, the 30th anniversary. That one, I mean, and they had some new introductions too, Pink Pearl and some other ones too. Firefly put on there. We hope it lives up to its hype. Like, I don't want to discount it because it is jinx it. Oh, because it is kind of cool. And they are actively, it sounds like they didn't just slap something out there and be like, yeah, it glows in the dark, just wait 15 minutes. But they're actively breeding so that you see it right away, and they're still working on it. They're working to constantly improve it. At least that's the story that they told us, you know what I mean? And actually, I liked the Hanabi digitalis. You walked in and it was enormous. I mean, it wasn't really like a marketing display per se, but it was, you could tell that they were putting a lot of eggs in that basket.
Yep.
Well, I would say we didn't see that I can recall any new programs or brands. Let's call it a brand. Remember 10, 15 years ago, every stop rolled out a brand. You had Gardening for Dummies and the Weather Channel, and and you name it, it was out there with POP and pots in the whole 9 yards. We didn't see any of that. Nobody does that anymore.
Syngenta focused a lot on their individual product brands.
Yeah,
they did, but and Cora has pots, and so
Infinity has pots, but they had 10 probably with logos now.
And Syngenta has been working.
But they weren't programs.
That's right. That's internal brand. That you can then, a smart grower or retailer could pick up that branding to carry through on that variety if they wanted to.
Yep.
But nothing that came complete with POP and the website and all that sort of thing.
Right.
We saw anniversaries. That's what was being celebrated this year. 30 years of Wave, 20 years of Sun Patience.
Well, hold on. So I wrote these all down because I had my other observations.
And then I'm going to continue.
30 years of Wave. 25 years of Dooman in North America, 20 years of Sun Patience, 60 years of Majestic Giants.
There you go. I forgot about Majestic Giants. The most impressive thing that I saw, single marketing idea, which is enormous if done right, is the Wave Petunia and Get Us Baby Photo Contest.
Yeah.
We're talking a world-renowned photographer who, from what I understand, charges $250,000 and up to photograph a baby. And you can win a baby photo shoot with Ann Geddes by buying Wave Petunias. Yeah. That is darned impressive for our little industry. And they did a photo shoot of Wave and babies that's rolling out any time now. Very curious to see what that looks like and how it's used. But that's big for our little tiny industry. And Wave, I think the easy Wave Pink Pearl as a new variety, easy add-ons, sales. And we'll see how the pansies do. The top waves do. Yeah. I can't disagree with Sunfinity because it's another easy add-on purchase. And I like that it's maybe a different season instead of just a different color. So maybe you can do, spring, summer, and then summer into fall.
I think that's a big deal for Sunfinity is having that extending the seasons. And it's big for retail too. Retailers are looking for that.
Yeah. And nothing has hit our industry like Firefly to be so different with so much potential non-gardener appeal. But I think the jury is out as to whether they can keep at it, keep improving it, keep getting into the market before people buy it. They try it. They don't sell. And then the costs just get too high to maintain thing before it actually catches on. So I hope and pray that Firefly doesn't become the answer to an industry trivia question someday.
Yeah. I do agree with Chris too, that, I mean, there were no new brands, but we did see a lot of concepts, like Pan American's Beyond, Pollinator Station,
Yeah, that's true.
Selecta's Dianthus display, the potted plant retail concept from Taki using their cut flower varieties to make them into cute little potted, which I really liked, little potted plant gifts. Syngenta's cyclamen display, they had a whole end cap display for that. So, I mean, little things.
Yeah. So and that's what we go looking for, especially for our Green Profit retail side. You see a cool concept, hey, share it with retailers. Maybe they can adopt it for their own, right?
Dianthus, just the ability to schedule Dianthus to hit the key holidays in spring and summer is a big deal. I mean, I was talking to a Ball seed rep, and he was like, you got to check that out because my customers are looking for those kind of products to put into retail as gift items.
I told you the Dianthus is the most confusing crop to me out at spring trials.
A couple of times.
I got to work on my Dianthus chops here. I'll tell you, so maybe next year I can go out and I know everything about them. I know
all the breeding companies have scheduling tools now, so you can probably learn about it pretty quick. Oh, that's good. How about on the, not really the flip side, but were there any new intros that made you just kind of go, what the heck is that? Or really surprised you? And Jen, I'm kind of interested in what Chris has to say too, because he probably knows the most plant names in our little crew, and he spots the weird and wild or old school things. Either one of you, go ahead. What stopped you to say, what the heck is that?
You mentioned old school, and I did spot quite a few old school varieties that we hadn't seen in forever. The hula berry, white strawberry made an appearance at Pacific Plug and Liner. It's like, oh yeah, I remember those things. They still got them. Million Bells, the first Calibracoa. They're still breeding Million Bells at Suntory and Tamari Verbena. I saw that too. Harmony New Guineas at Danziger, not quite as unusual, but it still goes back to the second generation ever of New Guineas. So that's some of the old school stuff that I spotted.
Well, Bill, I was wondering when you said what the heck is that? I'm like what the heck is that, bad or amazing?
However you want to interpret it.
I think the former.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. The Amazodontia, the Deo from Pacific Plug and Liner. I'm like, what the heck is that? And Chris is like, oh yeah, Amazodontia.
Yep.
But Pacific Plug and Liner always has kind of cool, weird stuff. Things like hellebores and echebeckia and lavender, but also some off the wall things that make you kind of snap and be like, well, that's weird. And of course,
some of those strange crosses that
And
PDSI had that grevillea.
Oh yeah,
I've never even heard of a grevillea, but that was that kind of
weepy Christmas tree.
Yeah, it was like an alpine-y looking. It looked kind of like a evergreen snake. I thought it was cool, but I was like, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. How about the variety from Nur that had the longest, most difficult to pronounce two genus names, two genera names that are crossed, and the resulting variety is called Rey, R-E-Y.
I still.
And when you see a plant where you don't know either of the parent plants, you don't know what they do. They come from Australia or Israel or something. And so you just don't know what they do by themselves. You really don't know what they do as a cross. You are completely at the mercy of the trial host and hope he can do a good job explaining what this is and why you need it in Southern California and Arizona, which is probably the only place in America where it grow well.
No kidding.
But then we could repeat it back on the video and make it sound like we knew exactly what it was.
That's right. Another thing that when you were talking about what surprised you most, I'm like, I saw more saxifraga or fraga or whatever than I ever thought I would see. I was not expecting that. So
you mentioned color name, and I love color names, and I'm always looking for the next. Well, I've always talked about how there's only salmon and coral as the aquatic, sea creature colors. I'm waiting for tuna or mackerel or something. But we saw two different series that used emotions instead of colors for the variety names. The Moods collection of Echinacea from Hilverda Florist, which is not a new series, but they've got things like flirty, powerful, serenity instead of color names. That's fun.
The colors match. Like flirty is red, Or no, Power is red and Flirty is like orange or something like that. Yeah, they match.
Right. And then the new Besties, osteos that you guys have mentioned, they combine the two: trusty amethyst, positive yellow, and optimistic pink. And it almost makes you think, will that give people a second reason to buy a particular flower? Ooh, I should give this to my friend. I trust her. She's very, I'm going to give her the amethyst flower.
I was tempted to put both of those series in my Shark Tank potentials because of that. Like, if you can pair a personality type with a plant, there might be a marketing campaign there, but I didn't.
You need a little online test you can take right there to see which one you're going to get paired up with. Or
my what the heck plant were the sedum cloudburst from Dooman. And it wasn't the ones that were retail ready. It was the mature ones. Remember, they were down on the ground. Yeah. But they'd let them grow and mature for a year. And they just looked, I mean, they looked like they were from a different planet.
Yeah.
I kind of liked them, and I kind of want to try that.
Yeah.
I also had hula berry on my list of for sure, and then Brunnera, only because it's such a weird plant, and we were all like, really?
I know,
but it's deer resistant, so hey, it'll sell just because of that for sure.
Well, and half the herbs that you can taste at was it Hishtil who has the herb?
Yeah.
This one smells like tastes like oysters, and this one makes your tongue tingle, and all these flavored mints and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Rosemary that tastes like strawberry. Okay. All right. Put on your thinking cap here. What is a new product that you haven't seen yet, ever, that you wish would be introduced? Like, if you were launching your own product, what would it be? And I'm going to go first because this is something I actually think about all the time. And I actually had a really quick answer and it's probably the reason why I put this question on the list, because I knew I'd have a quick answer. I want a heavy flowering, drought tolerant, heat tolerant, trailing plant with dark foliage for porch baskets. Because in the middle of summer, my baskets on my front porch always look terrible.
Yeah.
And we've tried everything, and it's partially because we travel during the summer, usually for a week, and things kind of take a hit, and then you come back and they get all scraggly when you water them again. But I'm thinking like a fuchsia habit, chocolate foliage, bright colors that's going to make it through June through August, even when we're on vacation for 7 days.
You don't want to make a specific species request?
No, I'm going for just general. I want that type of plant,
like a fuchsia that'll take 100 degrees and
it's yellow.
And yellow. Yeah, dream big.
What about you guys? Take it any direction you want.
Yours was really specific. I just want a petunia that the bunnies don't eat.
There you go.
I mean,
it just gets big, like the ones we see in California.
Yeah.
In your house.
You got to breed in some coyote urine or something.
No, I don't want to do anything.
Well, maybe there's an herb that smells or tastes like coyote urine.
No.
And that you still could work that in there. All right. I thought long and hard about this. And I said, well, I don't really have anything. And then I thought, no, if I was going to make a product to sell, it would be, what do I keep saying? One of my favorite annuals is blue, tall, spiky, comes in blue and white.
Salvia. Yeah.
Salvia farinaceae.
Yeah.
Most bulletproof annual. I want to somehow get the genes from Salvia splendens and get a red one.
Oh,
or a purple one.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So, yeah. So if you could have a red Salvia farinaceae, not only would you sell 1 million red, white, and blue combo pots, it would open up a whole new world. So that's what I'm going to have somebody breeding on just for me.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. I like it. Maybe I'm sure there's at least one breeder who's going to listen to this, and we'll.
I do have another idea. Something else I would like to do, because everybody's out there bitching and moaning about what's new and there's nothing new and this and that. And I've always said we need to set up our own trial location with a couple of actors.
I know where you're going with this,
and give it a super hip name. And these actors are young 20-somethings out of Silicon Valley, they're pretending, and they've got all these wild, amazing new varieties, perfectly grown, beautifully merchandised, great names, blow the lid off the whole trial trail, only to reveal when it's all said and done that there's not a variety in there that's less than 50 years old, pre-1975. Old AAS winners, old Comanche petunias and
8 fairs,
cocktail begonias, but they just have been done so well that people see them with new eyes, just to make people go, it doesn't have to be brand new. It just has to be grown really well to excite, because all this stuff is brand new to the end consumer, right? Unless they're an avid gardener.
No, it's very true. I think that that would open a lot of people's eyes to what the end consumer is really looking for. I like that. All right. Last question. We've gone for a while now. I'm going to start with Jen. Give me one reason why a grower who's never been to spring trials should go at least once.
Well, the one reason, but it has multiple reasons to go with the one reason. So it's like going to CAS allows you to do multiple things. Not even just to see all the new introductions when they're looking their best, which is good and bad. And, I suppose. Is it a true trial? Like, I don't know. But, I mean, they all look good. I mean, the growers that grow these plants they work so hard and everything looks so good. But you get to network with breeders, sales reps, other industry folks. You get to enjoy the California weather and the scenery and enjoy some of the local fare, food and wine, if you're into that sort of thing. And it's a lot of fun. If you can swing, going at the time of year. I know our coverage is stellar, and you don't need to go.
It's like you're there.
Yes, because whatever. But you do have to attend yourself at least once, I would say.
Agreed.
Bill,
I'll go and let Chris wrap it up. I think just to experience the amount of work that the breeders and product managers put into these products that they bring to market, I think it raises the perceived value in everybody's mind of these products. It spotlights the unsung heroes in our industry, and it reinvigorates anyone who's there about the products that our industry provides to people. And the products we provide to people make people happy, and they add value to people's lives. And when you see it out there and you get in this, it's kind of an industry echo chamber where everybody is speaking the same language and kind of knows the same stuff, but it's really energizing. And I do think it adds value to the work that everybody does in the industry and the hard work. It kind of validates all that effort that you put in to grow these products when you get to see them in their glory with all the excitement around them and the folks that brought them to market.
So one reason. And you gave good ones. How about the fish tacos at Spencer McKenzie's?
So good. I just expensed that dinner just like an hour ago.
If you get there before 5, half price tacos. 2 for 1 tacos. Because I knew you guys would give all the good answers, so I gave the the expected Beytes answer. Food.
Spencer McKenzie's definitely worth
the
trip, or maybe even twice.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, you guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for agreeing to do this. I know it's tough to be put on the spot and get peppered with questions, but we get it from everyone else, so we might as well put our thoughts down, recorded for all of posterity. You guys think this went okay?
Jen, I think you can use this to write the coverage for the July Grower Talks.
I think you're right. I'll just
we just covered all this, all the good stuff.
Side to transcribe it, and done and done.
Well, I can get you a transcription in about 20 minutes.
All right, sweet. Thanks.
Well, I appreciate it, you guys, and I hope that you'll join me again, because these are the discussions that we have, that other people in the industry have all the time. It's fun to kind of put them out there for folks to listen and react. Feel free, listeners, to reach out to any of us with comments, criticism, agreements, your own perspective on things. We're not pros. We just write about it, make videos and newsletters and podcasts, and you can find links to all that stuff in the show notes. So on behalf of Chris and Jen and the entire fun-loving, hardworking team at Ball Publishing, thanks for listening. Take care out there.